Hello, welcome to Tuesday's Granada Report, live across the northwest.
Yeah, good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. Here's what's coming up on tonight's programme.
A time for reflecting and remembering the People's Pope, how many faiths have come together to pay tribute to Pope Francis.
The spiritual energy that radiated from Pope Francis was incredible. I can honestly say that I found it totally life-transforming.
We'll be live ahead of a special Mass for the Pope in Liverpool tonight.
Also on the programme this evening, the mom facing a devastating diagnosis who's calling for a change in the law after a nightmare experience in the welfare system.
We are Premier League, say we are Premier League!
Upwardly mobile, Burnley celebrate promotion, but it's misery for Morecambe as they drop out of the Football League.
We meet the Lancashire Panto star who's just won an award. He's about somewhere.
He's behind you.
Who said that?
Oh, yes, he is. He's behind you.
Oh, shit, he's behind it.
And I hope you had a bit of a splash over Easter and are now settling into the sunshine and showers vibe that we're feeling this week. Full details coming up.
So first, and a special service is starting in Liverpool in the next hour following the death of Pope Francis.
Our region has the largest proportion of Catholics outside London, so it's hardly surprising there's been such a huge wave of sadness and reflection here after the news of his passing was announced yesterday.
But people of different religions have been sharing their thoughts on the Pope's life today, and tonight all faiths are welcome at Liverpool's Catholic Cathedral, where that special Mass is about to take place.
Well, our correspondent Victoria Grimes is there. Victoria, lots of people making that special journey to the cathedral today.
Yes, that's right, Katie. There's been a steady stream of people arriving here since the news about Pope Francis broke yesterday. Some coming to light candles, some coming to spend a quiet time in prayer, but all of them, and those we've spoken to today, have spoke of a man they remember as a humble pope, somebody who was very much a pope of the people and who was reaching out to all of those across society, even those right on the edge. He really was a man, they said, who cared for those of the faithful. Annie Yosef reports now on the way the Northwest has paid tribute.
Signing a book of condolence in memory of Pope Francis. Throughout the day, people gathered at Liverpool Cathedral to leave messages and tributes for the late pontiff who died on Easter Monday, remembering the service and dedication he showed to the very end.
Even though Pope Francis had been ill for quite some time, it's still a great shock when somebody dies, and we will all feel sad and at the loss of a very lovely man.
It felt like a historic day, and it's important to me to acknowledge his passing as a human being who was doing good in the world. So I came and I sat and I signed the book of condolence.
It's almost 2 years to the day since the Dean of Manchester met Pope Francis as part of a multi-faith visit to the Vatican. He described the moment as life-changing.
The spiritual energy that radiated from Pope Francis was incredible. I can honestly say that I found it totally life-transforming. It was like being in the presence of God, and that's the kind of energy, the prayerfulness that this man exuded to all of us in the room.
Dan Howarth has been studying in Rome to become a priest and will always cherish his memory of meeting the Holy Father.
I said to him that I am a seminarian, a trainee priest, and I'm from the Archdiocese of Liverpool, which he knows very well. He often refers to Liverpool as the Naples of the North, and he tells that whenever someone mentions Liverpool. He put his thumbs up and said bene, which is Italian for good.
The Liverpool-born Archbishop of Westminster, one of 3 British cardinals to vote on the next pope, believes the late pontiff will be remembered as the people's pope.
We had this kind of openness to everybody, whether it's a cleaner or a cardinal, and that kind of enabled him to make all sorts of, space for people. The baby crying in church, he'd say, don't worry, feed the baby. Just basic human relationships on which he built powerfully.
This group of pilgrims from Liverpool feel privileged their trip to Rome coincided with the Pope's death.
We set off on Easter Monday, and sadly, before we left the airport at Manchester, we heard that the Holy Father had died. So that's altered the whole tone of our pilgrimage and given us a great sense of privilege that we're actually here at this time. And tomorrow we'll be attending Mass in St. Peter's, or we'll be attending St. Peter's for the arrival of the body of Pope Francis.
Pope Francis's funeral will take place on Saturday in front of St. Peter's Basilica. He will be mourned and missed by people all over the world. Anna Joseph, ITV News.
Well, I'm joined now by the Archbishop of Liverpool, Malcolm McMahon. Your Grace, you had the honour of meeting Pope Francis many times. The last time was in January. Tell us about your memories of him.
Encountering Pope Francis was always a great joy because he was always happy and peaceful within himself. You know, he did say to the bishops of England and Wales when we all visited him as a group in 2018, he said that when he was elected Pope, a great peace came over him and it has never left him. So when we met him then, and I've met him on many other occasions, you always felt as though you were in the presence of a man who was at peace with God, with himself, with the world, and that emanated from him. So it was a great experience.
And he was a very open man by all accounts. And you had a lovely story about some circus performers that you saw with him together.
Yeah. That was at the last time I saw him in January. After the audience, they always have circus performers, jugglers, tumblers, and they even had some kind of pantomime elephants with people in them. And it was lovely to see him stroking the trunk of the baby elephant, and everybody laughed, and he was so happy. It was just wonderful to see him like that.
So we heard there as well that he referred to Liverpool as the Naples of the UK.
Yeah.
He was very much into his football, I understand. Do you think he would have fitted in well in this part of the world?
Oh, I'd say so. Because he was very, he had that kind of openness, and he was very, very willing to share himself with others. There were no barriers in his life, and Liverpudlians are like that, and Lancashire people are very warm, and he had that warmth as well.
And what do you think we need to see in the next Pope, the person who takes over?
Well, that's up to the Holy Spirit. He'll tell the cardinals what they want, who to vote for. That's what we sincerely believe. What I want to see is that when the new Pope comes onto the balcony, they announce his name as Francis II.
Francis II.
That's what I want to see and hear. Whether that'll happen or not, I don't know. But he's been so remarkable, and he's really set the Church on a path of inclusivity, of mercy, of going to people who are on the margins. He's open to people of all religions. He's been wonderful in his calling people together about the environment. So we want that to continue, don't we? So I want a Pope who's going to call himself Francis II.
Archbishop, thank you so much for talking to us this evening. We'll let you prepare for the Mass, which begins at 7 o'clock.
Very much indeed.
Thank you.
In Liverpool, thank you very much.
Well, let's take a look at some more of the day's news now. And the former Manchester United star Jesse Lingard has given evidence in defence of his grandfather, who's on trial accused of historical sexual abuse. Lingard, seen here in the middle, flew in from South Korea, where he now plays, to appear at Liverpool Crown Court. He said he'd been brought up by his grandfather, Kenneth Lingard, who taught him football skills and driven him to matches. He said he would have cut ties with him if he'd been aware of any allegations. The 86-year-old defendant denies 17 counts of indecent assault.
5 men have been sentenced for their part in dealing drugs in Manchester Piccadilly. The group were among several who were arrested last year as part of a wider undercover operation which saw police officers posing as drug users. Martin Joyce, who's seen here trying to escape arrest in a dressing gown, played a leading role in the group. He was sentenced to 7 years. He was closely assisted by his brother Dougie Joyce, who was given 5.5 years.
A courts heard a van driver took at least 20 lines of cocaine in the hours before he hit a tram and collided with a 3-year-old girl. Louisa Palmisano, known as Lulu, died in hospital after she was struck while walking with her parents on a visit to Manchester in February. 35-year-old Raoul Raymond of Lambton Road in the city today admitted causing her death by dangerous driving. He'll be sentenced at a later date. Well, next, a mother with terminal bowel cancer is calling for an urgent reform of the benefit system after a 14-month wait for personal independence payments.
56-year-old Bells from Chester had to go through an appeals tribunal after her diagnosis and while she was planning her bucket list with her family.
Well, now her MP, with help from the cancer charity Maggie's Centre, is supporting her campaign for a specific cancer benefit. Our correspondent Elaine Wilcox has her story.
I expected help because I've paid into the system all my life. I've never lied, I've never cheated, I've never done anything wrong, and this is when I'm going to get help. On top of that, you're meant to read through this to understand what it is that you're being asked.
This was the first time Bells, a mum of 2, had to apply for benefits during cancer treatment. She had a 90-minute interview by a medical assessor with the Department of Work and Pensions, and her claim was rejected.
She asked me what my illness was, and I said bowel cancer, and she said, what part of your body is your bowel in? And I thought, oh God. And she asked me things like, can you cook for yourself? Well, yes, I don't have a cook. Do I go for walks? And if I do, how long in the length of a double-decker bus? Ridiculous.
With an uncertain future, the 56-year-old wanted to spend precious time with her family, but instead wasted months on the complicated forms.
I have to say it took me 3 goes to go through the door, because the stupid thing is, even though you've been in hospital, going to Maggie's is an admission that you need help and that cancer is part of your life. Sorry. So I chatted to the benefits girls who were amazing. Then you get this huge form sent back to you and you cry.
Having a cancer diagnosis is costly. To be able to pay for hospital food, to be able to keep the heating on for longer if you're not at work. And sometimes people can't go back to work straight away.
Now, with the help of her MP, she's calling for a cancer benefit to simplify the process.
We know it's going to get more difficult for some people to get benefits. Is that something you support?
I want to see the right people getting help. There is limited money, we know that, but it doesn't make sense that at the moment a system is completely unfair.
The irony is, if they gave us the support quicker, we would be back in the economy quicker. We would be off their books faster.
Bell said she was made to feel like she was cheating the system and says bespoke benefits would make a complex process better. Elaine Wilcox, ITV News, Chester.
Thanks to Bells for sharing her story with us, and we spoke to the Department for Work and Pensions and they gave us this statement. They said, we've hired more staff to respond to an increased volume of claims and have special rules in place so that people nearing the end of their life are guaranteed a fast-tracked PIP award. On the rare occasion this does not happen, we will investigate to understand what went wrong.
Now, it's 9 days till many parts of the region go to the polls for the May elections, and for those living in Runcorn and Helsby, it'll be the chance to select the country's newest MP.
Yeah, the seat's being left vacant after Mike Amesbury stood down after punching a constituent on a night out in Frodsham.
Well, the by-election's being hotly contested, and today the Deputy Prime Minister rolled into town and went back to school on the campaign trail.
Yeah, Angela Rayner's been here launching the pilot of Labour's free breakfast clubs, as our political correspondent Leisha McNally now reports.
When Labour sketched out their plans for power, this was a key promise. Free breakfast clubs for primary schools, with 30 minutes of childcare and a meal for those who want one. Today, the Deputy Prime Minister went back to school to see one being trialled in Cheshire.
I'm recognising how vitally important it is, not just for childcare, for working parents, but also about what it gives to the children that are coming into the breakfast club, starting the day well. I saw them dancing, socialising, eating a nutritional breakfast, so we want to see every child across the country having that.
But will this new term also serve up the chance for a political fresh start? Angela Rayner waited 10 years to get into government, but 10 months in, Labour's report card is far from perfect.
The latest poll suggests you'd lose your seat and your party would lose power if an election was held tomorrow. Why do you think it's all going so wrong?
Well, I think people have seen that we faced real challenges. We've had to make some very difficult decisions, but we're making those decisions.
£5 billion cut from welfare payments, 10 million pensioners without winter fuel payments, and 78,000 people off UK payrolls. Are you really 100% happy with the direction your government is taking?
Pensioners today are better off under Labour than they were under the Conservatives. We know there's been difficult choices, but we want to make sure people have good, secure work.
Have you been happy with those choices personally?
We have been helping the Employment Rights Bill, delivering good, secure work, 1 million people getting an increase in their living wage, building the homes that people desperately need, making sure that people have more money in their pockets. That's what Labour promised. That's what we'll deliver.
But will Labour have a new MP to help them deliver it? Of the 750 schools involved in the Breakfast Club pilot, it's no surprise the Deputy Leader chose to visit this one. It's in Runcorn and Helsby, where a by-election battle is also on the menu, with 15 candidates fighting to be Westminster's newest MP. Once this was safe Labour territory, but now other parties say they can beat them.
It is now a two-horse race, and I know how scared they are. I mean, they're literally saying things to the electorate that are untrue, like, you know, if you vote for Nigel Farage's candidate, you'll finish up having to pay for hip operations. Well, we've never said anything of the sort.
I was in Cheshire speaking at a Conservative conference, really encouraging all of the activists and the local people there about the by-election, making sure that people understand what the Conservative offer is.
Do you think Labour will hang on to Runcorn and Helsby?
Well, we know this is a very difficult by-election.
But if the government was doing really well, surely you'd sail through this one. It's a safe Labour area.
Well, we know the context is very challenging. We know people have had to suffer quite significantly under the Conservatives. Labour are the only party that want to put people first. People can come along on the circus wheel, but actually Karen will be here for years to come and she will always put the people here first.
Voters go to the polls on the 1st of May, alongside key local elections too, the chance for all parties to get a taste of the country's true political appetite. Leisha McNally, ITV News.
And here is an alphabetical list of all the candidates standing in the Runcorn and Helsby by-election, along with the party they represent. A total of 15 people are vying to be the Cheshire constituency's next MP. Polls close at 10 p.m. on the 1st of May.
Right, on to sport now, and Burnley are back in the big time, Chris.
Yeah, that's right, but can they go up as champions? That's the challenge now. Burnley have clinched an immediate return to the top flight of English football and avoided the nerve-shredding playoffs by beating promotion rivals Sheffield United in the Championship last night. David Chisnall was at a delirious Turf Moor.
We are Premier League, say we are Premier League!
Yes, they are. It's promotion back to the top flight for Burnley after relegation from it last season.
Yes!
What a difference a year makes as the club sealed its place back at English football's top table.
Absolutely ecstatic.
Come on! That gave me a fright, didn't it?
No, absolutely ecstatic. Really, really pleased for them.
I think they all are as well.
Yeah, they are.
Absolutely wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Just got to win the league now.
We are Premier League!
Well, Burnley knew a win against promotion rivals Sheffield United at Turf Moor would guarantee their return to the Premier League. With an unbeaten league run stretching back 30 matches and a record-breaking defence that had only conceded 14 goals in 43 Championship games this season, there was plenty of belief among the fans ahead of kick-off.
I am full of confidence. Scott Parker's done a brilliant job. Everybody doubted him at the first, but he's proved everybody wrong, and we're definitely going up.
Are you going to do it? Is this the day?
Today we're going to win. They've never lost a game when I've been to watch, so fingers crossed.
Will you be celebrating tonight, though, if it happens?
Might have an orange and lemonade.
It's 25 years since I was on Turf Moor. To be here is just beyond a dream.
What would it mean if you actually did it tonight?
Oh, everything.
And Cullen's hit. It's rammed into the roof of the net.
As club captain Josh Brownhill knows what going up means to Burnley, and it was his 2 goals that won the game, to start the promotion party.
Burnley seal a return to the Premier League.
Just so happy for everybody at the football club, from the staff to the players who haven't been in the Premier League, and say the fans, my family, everybody. Like, all that hard work this season has finally paid off.
Come on, Burnley!
It is party time for Burnley, as once again this club and this town are back in the big time.
Means everything. It just puts our small mill town club back on the map where we belong.
This town is just a good community and we all stick together. Yeah. And it's just fantastic that the boys have done amazing.
I was in a pub in 2003, met some supporters. They told me about the town and the club, and I fell in love. And so this is my team.
So how good does this moment feel?
Unbelievable. I fly 5,000 miles tomorrow to go back home and then come back out for Millwall.
You have waited 25 years for this. How does this feel?
I have literally just cried, tears of pure joy. I feel emotionally exhausted, but beyond happy for every single person sat in those seats in that stadium today. All those players, Scott Parker, just the whole town. Just phenomenal.
Really proud of the team, the club, staff, everyone who's committed. This is the tightest group I've ever been around. Togetherness, a brotherhood about them. We've got quality, but we've also got that which has got us to this plate.
So it's a third Premier League promotion for Scott Parker as manager. Now his team are in a two-way tussle with Leeds to see who will go up as the Championship champions. David Chisnell, ITV News, Burnley.
Yeah, great to see Burnley back, and there is still an outside chance that their neighbours could be leaping up with them. Blackburn are 4 points outside of the Championship playoff spots after a 1-0 win at Sunderland. Just 2 games left, though. Stockport are guaranteed a playoff spot in League One after they beat Huddersfield 2-1, and Wigan Athletic are now officially safe from relegation after their 1-0 win over Rotherham. In League Two, Salford are just 2 points behind the playoff spots after beating Morecambe 3-1 to send them into the National League. Accrington are all but safe now after holding relegation rivals Carlisle to a 1-1 draw. Tranmere, though, after a goalless draw at Barrow, still need 1 win from their last 2 games to guarantee survival. Well, now to tonight's football. And Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola says every match is like a cup final between now and the end of the season. And you can see why. With 5 games left, they're clinging on to a top 5 spot, but all that changes if they lose to Aston Villa tonight. Pep has called on the fans to play their part.
It's a final and we need our people, because I think our people won the Champions League next season again. And hopefully can help us for the middle one. Don't wait. Sometimes we are sloppy, sometimes we're not playing good. It's that now we need them. We need them desperately, to support us, to make noise and be in there all the time, because it's a final. Absolutely, it's a final for us.
Well, also hoping for a triumphant climax to the season are National League playoff hopefuls Rochdale. But today they had other, more sombre priorities. They've opened a book of condolence at Spotland for their former player Joe Thompson, who died with cancer last week. The club paid tributes to Joe with a minute's applause at yesterday's match against Fylde.
So I grew up with Joey from a young age. He was at the primary school next door to me. From being a young age, Joey was never a quitter. He'd have the ball at his feet constantly. He'd be the fastest runner. He'd always want to push further.
I think he was just a fantastic footballer and a fantastic person as well. Just a brilliant ambassador for the club and for football.
He gave so much to the club, so much to us as fans. So it's only fitting today that we're here to pay our respects. After all, like it says there, Joey Thompson, one of our own.
Yeah, Joe Thompson, a great man. He's going to be sorely missed by everyone who came into contact with him.
Yeah, a great man. So inspirational, wasn't he? And so loved in Rochdale, as we saw there, Chris. Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed. Now, you might remember us reporting that the Theatre Royal in St Helens was up for 2 gongs at the National Panto Awards earlier this month.
Well, sadly, they missed out, but another Royal, namely the Lancashire comic Steve Royal, hit the jackpot.
Yes, Steve, who's appeared in more than 1,000 pantomimes at the famous Grand Theatre in Blackpool, received one of the top prizes. Paul Crone caught up with him at the Grand, and as ever, he was on sparkling form.
For Steve Royal, it was no laughing matter, as he nearly missed collecting his award for Best Comic at this year's National Pantomime Awards. Oh, yes, he did.
So I get to the stage, a classic stage door operative, basically, and she's going, now what's your name? Sorry, what's your name? Yeah, no, right. And how are you spelling that? I'm going, my award is next. I've literally just arrived now. They're announcing my category now. I need to get in. Yes, now just let me find you a lanyard.
And although Steve made it to the stage, his acceptance speech didn't go as planned.
I did a little speech. I said, I'll dedicate this to all the partners and wives out there, I said, who make it possible for us to do pantomime every year. And then I came off the stage, and as I walked through the door at the back, this door swings open, and my wife stood behind the door, and she went, how have you got on? I said, I've just won it. She says, I missed it. I said, well, why? She says, the lady won't let me in. She said, they can't let you in now. There's a man speaking. It was me, talking about her.
And from the Master of Mirth, who has done Panto at the Grand Theatre in Blackpool for over 20 years and 1,000 shows, this isn't his first award.
I've got a 2-2 in economic and social history, my friend. Hey, if you ever want to talk on the theories of liberalisation and the labour aristocracy, with reference to events in Rochdale between 1840 and 1870, I'm your man, Paul. I'm your man.
That sadly opened the floodgates for the Prince of Panto.
I went to Morehouse County Primary in Milnrow, Rochdale, and I got entered into an art competition. I drew a pirate ship. And I tell you what, I got a silver medal for that, Paul. You're laughing, you're scoffing at my awards. And I was under 12's breaststroke champion as well at the same time. The thing with pantomime, it encompasses such a huge demographic of people. So, right? So you've got your old, the young, and I love the fact that it can make an old lady laughing at the front row there and a little kid laughing at the same time. And I love that. I love that, giving a little bit for the dads, a little bit for the mums. I just love, that's what I enjoy the most about pantomime.
And where will Steve's top award be displayed?
I'll wear it. I'm going to wear it as a badge, like that. Every gig from now on, walking stage, like that.
A funny man with funny bones. Paul Crone, ITV News, Blackpool.
Crony's met his match there with Steve, hasn't he?
Yes, I think Steve deserves another award for that shirt, don't you?
Oh, no, he doesn't.
Very good.
Time now for the weather. Here's Emma. I'm sorry.
Mum, wet wipes, toilet or bin?
Bin. Why?
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello there, hope you've had a super day. Well now, there is no point in spoiling a beautiful picture like this with a headline for the week ahead that's only going to say sunshine and April showers, once we get past tonight, that is. Tonight we have quite a lot of heavy rain heading in. It's on an area of low pressure, which is pushing this band of rain in quite an unusual direction. It pushes eastwards, then clears away southeastwards. It is an unusual track. Then a little ridge building in tomorrow, so a drier day tomorrow, 1 or 2 showers, and then this system stacking up in the west for Friday. However, I think by the time it reaches us, most of the precipitation on it will have faded away, so just pushing a bit more cloud into the region at that point. Let's rewind then to the next few hours, and you can see that this heavy rain's already starting in across the Isle of Man first of all, then spreads to all parts of our patch before pulling away south and eastwards. And by tomorrow morning, it's going to be very damp for the southernmost half of Granada land, but further to the north, a legacy of cloud and maybe some murkiness as well. Of course, those temperatures holding up. Look at that beautiful shot of Preston Docks there. The sun's up at 5:53, sets at 8:26. My director said that she thought that looked like Monaco. If you squint, maybe. Taking a closer look at tomorrow then, you can see that the dampness from the south clears away south and eastwards, brightening up then from the north, but still some cloud drifting around, and that could be thick enough to give some spots of showers in places. Nothing too heavy there though, and a lot of places will miss those as well. A bit of a shift in wind direction and warmer temperatures, and then any showers fade overnight, and by the time we get into Thursday, it's not looking too bad. Sunny spells, and by Friday, a little bit cloudier with sunny spells and isolated showers Saturday. Bye-bye.
Cleaned up well.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thanks, Anna. Finally, just time to say a very happy 103rd birthday to James Fenton. Here's James at just 20 years old, serving with the Royal Artillery in Burma during the Second World War. He's now one of the few surviving veterans of the so-called Forgotten Army.
Yeah, after leaving the forces, James made his home on the Isle of Man and says he's still very much looking forward to the future.
James, we salute you. You are an inspiration to us all.
And we say goodbye tonight with live pictures from Liverpool's Catholic Cathedral, where a special mass starts in half an hour's time to remember the life of Pope Francis. From all of us here, good night and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.